Hello and welcome students. Join us in Casa Loma and those watch us from the St. James. Welcome both candidates to this debate. My name is Rosa. I'm the reporter of the Dialogue student newspaper. And what we have today, let's go through over the agenda. After the introduction,
Is there another mic?
Yeah. So sorry. I get it. So let's go through the agenda. After introduction, my friend just shared the general rule with you, and then we are going to the opening statement. You have the 1 minute to introduce yourself and have the opening statement. After that, we go through the individual question. Each candidate should answer the individual question. After that, students can have the chance to ask their own question. Students from the St. James can send the question to the email address communication@sagbc.ca. And after that, the student's question, we continue with common questions. You should both answer the common question, and then we will go through the closing statement and we'll wrap up everything with the closing statement.
So to talk about the general rules, the time limit as specified for each session will be strictly followed. If the time limit is exceeded, the speaker will be cut off by the moderator. Speakers must be respected. Only one person will be allowed to speak at a time. If another candidate speaks over the speaker, they will either lose some time off their next speaking turn, the opportunity to rebuttal, or an entire speaking turn according to rules specific to each round below. Inappropriate language or actions will lead to the loss of chance for the candidate to speak again. No personal attacks will be allowed. All remarks and comments during rebuttal or statements must remain professional. Candidates will have 1 minute to deliver an opening statement that includes, but is not limited to, their motivation to run for this position, the work they plan to do, and why they are the right person for the position. Candidates will have 1 minute at the end for closing statements. In this time, they can summarize their ideas and conclude their arguments. So candidates, you can now take 1 minute each for your opening statement.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Usman, and I'm seeking to re-elect for the same position, Director of Education and Equity. I'm in Bachelor in Construction Management. The reason I'm running for this position is I had a vision that I want to bring a completely free covered transportation pass like Presto, 100% covered, unlimited transactions on that. And second thing, I want to bring more jobs for students so they can work on campus. So you guys will have more opportunity to work on campus. Plus, those guys who have parking problems, usually the parking cost is like $12 to $40 sometimes goes basis of hourly per day. That's unaffordable. Some university colleges, they have the parking thing, and I want to bring the same thing here, that they would be cheap or some kind of free parking for students available, and I'll make sure I'll do it. Other than that, I want to make a free breakfast and lunch space for students so they can come up. In the morning, students have like their work and everything. They cannot make it up everything. So the breakfast will be provided to them so they can have a good nourishment at the same time, and they will be more focused on their studies. And other than that, I'm also looking to bring a legal services. What is legal services? Legal services where I would, if anyone need help with work permit, study permit extension, work permit extension, study permits, or landlord problems, or any other kind of boss or like the employer problem, any problems there, these legal services will be helpful for them there. And these are my visions to bring them into reality.
Hi, I'm Heather. So I'm Heather Chan. I'm running against the incumbent, Clem. I have a lot of the same issues that I would like to address. I would like to continue the Presto program and basically extend that. I believe that George Brown College already has a lot of good programs. However, I am looking to equalize in any way that the SA can. I'm looking to equalize the tuition payments. Of course, I know that's a bold promise, but if we can offer more bursaries, for if we can include extending community and equity, the Community and Equity Fund, if we can look into ways to improve life for students and to level the playing field, because we come to have a better life. We come to make something of ourselves, right? So what I'm looking for is for different ways that we can introduce that into the student body. We basically, it's not about me, it's not about my opponent, it's about what the students want, right? So if Presto is what's working, I'm going to continue with Presto. I'm going to continue with the Community and Equity Fund. I'm going to continue looking into ways to expand that. Also, furthermore, yes, I would be looking into ways to help with, and to help with PR as well.
The one thing that I want to mention that please look at me during, I just showed you sign 30 minutes, 30 seconds left, 10 seconds, and time's up. Please wrap up your thought before your time. And this part, we are going to the individual question. Each candidate will be asked one question for this round, and you have 2 minutes to ask and answer this question. For this round, you'll have the chance for one, and challenge the other candidate and ask a question, but for 1 minute. Please be careful about the time. And always compliance with the general rule that my friend shared with you. And always look at the time sign I show you. Please wrap up your thought. And the other rule is that try to answer the question directly and explain your goals and your action plan to achieve this goal. Otherwise, I can follow up the question or ask you to just answer the question directly. Okay, yes, please start.
So I'll be throwing the question now. One of your campaign promises to provide students with 100% free Presto Pass. Yeah? What does it look like to you, and how do you plan to implement it?
So basically, to me, it seems like a necessity. Why is it necessity? Because we have wonderful programs here going on, events, everything, but people are scared to come because they have to pay $6 every time they come. Every time coming $6 is not worth it because the math will math up every time in the month. $128 per month for a Presto Pass, each student is a lot as well. So I think that is important, that having a Presto is basic, that's like should be the basic thing here. And how I am providing it, so I would work on the UPass thing, which some universities are working on it. What is UPass? As some people are knowing it, UPass is basically some university provide, usually $80 is the cost for that thing. It's a semester one, so $20 divided up into sessions. So this is how things goes, but it's up and down based on these things. Plus I had an experience of being on this post, so I know how exactly it would be. I mean, if I would be new, for me, I had to learn everything from the startup to get to start. Like it's usually take like even 6 to 7 months just to learn things. And I've already been there for I think 11 months, so I have a lot of experience as well, which would be valuable at the same time to expediting or increase the time of getting everything done at the short time. That's all.
Either, do you have any question?
Yeah, so I would like
Use your chance for rebuttal.
Yes, my chance for rebuttal.
Just 1 minute.
Yes, got it. I will stick to that. Apologies. So I think my question to you would be, I know that it is a struggle to get the UPass. I have looked into it myself. My question to you would be, how would you go about basically bargaining with the TTC for such a thing, or with Presto?
I mean, that's also one of the options, but bargaining with someone that's already been too crowded. TTC is too crowded, so they don't need like extra people. So they already been over a population, so I don't think they will be that open to this conversation, to my thoughts, what I believe and think.
But let's stay in the question. Please.
So I can clarify.
You want to?
I can, yeah. So my question to you would be, I know that not just you, but also other previous directors of education equity, that this is something that George Brown has been up against for years. This is something that we've been wanting to have ever since the essay began, or ever since the UPass began. So my question to you would be, how would you go about implementing this plan as if you became Director of Equity in Education again?
So to implement anything new here, you usually need the support of the students. Get to the students, know that if they are wanted. If majority or all of them want it, then nothing can stop that thing to happening. Simple as that.
Okay, but let us say to your answer. You suggest that you pass. I mean that you want to provide something like this for the students. I don't want to know how do you achieve this goal. You pass means that you need to provide 800 for every semester, 2 semesters for students. I mean that you need something like more than $3 million for cover all the students in the student association, for over all the students in the GBC, and we expect more the students register for the next year. What is your plan for achieve this goal?
So to achieve this thing, first of all, you need to see that whenever anyone sees from outside, they see obstacles, and when this obstacle is too big, it's not a good idea just to run away from the obstacle. It's to start up, get to the ground and start working on it. Every small drop makes up to the ocean. So it's not that we can neglect every single drops. Start working with the drops and slowly we will make it to the ocean. And we will start from the base and things grow over time. Even the colleges or union even grow from over time. It wasn't the big union from the start. It takes time to grow up. So for that thing, I will start working from a small scale and then make it to the bigger. Over time, people like it, college might like it, they might invest it. So that like if something works, other will be there as well to contribute.
I just want to add on top of Rosa's question. When you mentioned the UPass, I believe it's quite difficult to get the UPass unless you have like 80% of vote. And considering the students that we have, the number of students that we have over here, let's take 23,000 for example. How would you ensure, because not everyone will have will want to use TTC services, right? So how would you ensure that all, let's say 80% agree to vote with you, and how would you convince the remaining number of percentage, like 20% of students to agree to vote for you even though they have their own vehicle or means of transport? Because from what I know, I think the it's mandatory to have.
Seems like all questions are coming to me, but as you go with that. So basically for that question, we need to have 80% for referendum thing. I understand that thing. But the thing is the Presto is more like, to me, my angle, point of view, it is a universal problem. It would be more than I would say 90% people, in my opinion, would be the one who needed this thing. And even the people with cars, it's not always they will use it. There are certain times they might need it, the Presto as well. There are certain places where you cannot reach with the car thing. The Presto thing will be way cheaper for them to even notice it's a big burden. It's more like they're getting an extra service at a very, very cheap price, which will be neglected by them. They won't be like very focused. It's a small one, won't bother them. But this all contribution comes at like 90% of the people would be usable. The other 10 people would use it. I'm not saying they won't use it. They would use it, but they won't use it as occasionally. But they would use sometimes, and this sometimes would be more than what they pay for it. In my opinion, that's what I mean.
Okay, thank you. Just I want to clarify, not all the questions for you, just we want to make sure that if you say something that the students know that what is your action plan, is that achievable or not, because it's their right to vote for you or they want to make what they want. But we will back to your promises because you have the special promises, but let's continue with the letter. What are some issues you have recognized at GBC with regard to education? How will you prioritize and work to solve them if elected as a Director of Education and Equity?
Thank you very much for asking, Rosa. So some of the issues that I recognized in being a GBC student and making connections with students and talking to students. Some of the things I recognize are language barriers. Going to just getting to school, which is why I would like to include more funding into a Presto plan. That I want to do something that is achievable, that is tangible. Of course, I'd love to do the UTAS, but that is, again, that requires a lot of effort. It's very ambitious. I want to focus on what can be done, right, to make the student population life better, right? If we can provide more funding for more positions on campus, of course I would. If we can provide more funding for on-campus events that provide free services and free things, of course I would. So my thing is, I just want to make sure that that students have a level playing field for their education, and how I would go about doing that is just making sure that people that they know about SA services and GBC services, because a lot of students, they don't know. That's something that I've encountered there. I actually helped someone with with getting into ALS the other day. They didn't know about it. So awareness is key, and it's about what the students want.
And one small question that I also asked, how are you going to do it? So I just want to know what is the detail, how things process and everything, A to Z, how does things will work during your Presto?
So for the Presto, honestly, I know a lot of people that have used it. I'm not going to be ashamed to admit that I myself have used it. What I would do for that is I would look into ways. First of all, I have to know the budget, and I would look into ways into increasing awareness of Presto. Like, I know we have it over there on the screen, but I would look into ways of making sure that peer leaders, for example, are telling people in their classes that they have. Professors are telling them that this is an option. On Brightspace, for example, there are different ways that we can go about increasing awareness in the things that we already have, in the pathways that we already have. And to increase it, again, I would have to look into the budget, and I would have to see what real and tangible change can be done.
Hi, I have a question. I just wanted to, because you mentioned in your opening statement that if the students agree to do this, you would agree to do the same thing. If they are more inclined with that thing, you would want to continue doing that. So I just wanted you to clarify a bit more on that part, just so you make it clear to the students what your specific goals are if you were to get elected as the director.
Yeah, of course. Of course, every position comes with a learning curve, but myself, I'm a quick learner. I deal well under pressure. I work really well under pressure, actually. So for me, myself, how I go about implementing all the things that the students want, I would, first of all, like I did on my questionnaire. I have a questionnaire. I have it on my Instagram. I also have it on my flyers. So I would go about getting the voice of the students. I would never go about anything unless it was already set, without getting the voice of the students. 1, 2, again, I would have to, look into details, look into the budget. Myself, I never want to make any promises that I can't keep. My word is my bond. If I say it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So, yes, basically, the only thing that I can do is listen, or one of the best things I can do is listen, and hear the voice of students.
Thank you both. Let's back to you, Muhammad Osman. You promised for lower price in parking. I know that if you compare UBC with the other school, it's somehow cheaper. How do you want to manage it? How do you want to achieve this? What is your plan? Because I know that parking is managed by third company.
So for that, I would say that we will look into it with more agreements with the GBC. That would be more way to bring us the parking thing here. And as you said that there are other colleges, but you're also forgetting that there are some colleges that provide it even cheaper to free. There is one my friend goes and there is no cost for parking there. So there are some that cost higher but they're lower, but there are some that are free too. We have to take motivation from the one which are doing best, not from the one which are not doing great. That is what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, related to parking, I think that's, yeah, I mean, I think that we can definitely do more for students who commute from outside of the city. I mean, I myself know at least one student who's commuting from Barrie, commuting from Brampton, Mississauga, so on and so forth. It's not always the best to use. But yeah, oh yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, so I think my question would be, of course we can work on making things free, but how would you work on, or how should I put this? How would you work about, okay, increasing the spots?
How would I like it? So I assume it means how I'm going to do it. So my plan is to more work with the GBC on this thing, more like work with them in terms of let's talk to this thing. This is a problem. Students are facing it. Not I am facing it. Students are facing it. Students are also the one that studies at your college. It's good for the college reputation as well, and they will look into it for sure because it's good for the benefit of the school and for the students. And I believe George Brown will take students' benefits as their first priority, so they will definitely look into it.
But you know, still, how is the question? Because you know, I know that you want to work with GBC to find a way for it, but how can make it possible if you compare the place of the GBC in the Casa Loma downtown waterfront? How it's possible?
Usually every college has a parking contracted with certain companies. So when this issue is pushed by students, and I will bring it to upward that to them, they will find more space. If not, they will rent more places, or they will find a way to at least lower this thing. So this is the only thing you can do. And other than that, if you see that, is there any other possible way to do it? I don't think so. There is another way to do it because the problem is that the space issues is the problem. And I think this is the only possibility to do it. And again, if there is some possibility, I will give my 100 over there to make it into reality.
So I have another question here. What is your impression of how international students are represented at GBC, and how would you improve this, and are there any gaps that needs to be addressed? I'm sure there are gaps.
So my impression of international students, I mean, my dad was an international student. You know, he came here to study initially and met my mom. So my impression of international students is future Canadians, whether they decide to stay in Canada or whether they can stay in Canada. You know, it's an unfortunate reality that a lot of people have to think about. But I look at myself, I always look at my friends, my colleagues as future Canadians, as the future of this country. So, and, sorry, what, the second part of the question?
So, how would you improve the gaps, and how would you address them?
Yes. So, how I would improve the gaps is, one, I would look into ways of either making or increasing bursaries for international students, because I think it's unfair that international students have to pay more than 3 times what a domestic student has to pay. I think it's unfair that they have to pay $4,000 just to hold their seat in registration, whereas a domestic student has to pay $500. I think that is completely unfair and completely unjust. That is a big way that I would look into addressing yeah, I would definitely look into addressing that that inequity right there. And I would also look into addressing if there's any child care issues, because I know a lot of mothers, like they're working mothers, it's hard to find child care. So I'm looking to see if maybe there's ways of increasing child care within GBC.
So my question, as you said, that the international students has to pay 3 to 4 times more than the domestic students, and I don't think we can really decrease the tuition costs and make it to domestic. That won't be there, and I'm just confused over there. What exactly is your plan there? I'm just confused.
Of course, as I said, I never would make any promises that I can't keep. I would never say anything that I can't keep or looking to keep. So, how I would go about this is looking into ways to increasing what we already have, which is we do have the Community and Equity Fund. That's something that SA does offer. I know that we can't unfortunately decrease the tuition. If I could, I would. But how I would go about that is look into ways of increasing the bursaries or scholarships that we already offer, and also look into maybe ways of finding extra to create more opportunities, to create more on-campus jobs, and so on and so forth. Right? If there's a way that we can, I will always look for it, and I will always listen to the students.
Just so we are clear over here, when you mean by providing more groceries, do you mean it in a way that it's free for the students, or do you mean it through SNAP? If you can just clarify. Sorry.
Bursaries. So, I mean, it's okay. But to that end too, yes, I would definitely look into ways that we can improve on SNAP. I believe that you talked about introducing gift cards for SNAP last year, and that honestly that's very commendable. And so, I would look into ways that we can make SNAP more accessible to people, because it's a bit, I have friends who are on SNAP, and it's hard, to come and have to pick up the hamper all the time. And everybody has to work, everybody has to live. As much as I would love to say that people can stay on campus, you've got to make money, right?
Thank you, Heather, for your explanation, but it's a general rule. When you say something, please say your action plan, how we can make it achievable, because the students need to know that and vote for this. But for the next question, please keep it, we don't have any time. And let's back to your question. You promise offer legal services to students, but these legal services provide to students for decades. I think that there is a legal consultant advisor working as the student lawyer for more than 28 years, helping the students with various issues. What are you promising in your platform that the service did not already offer?
Okay, so how many people do really know that we provide cigarette services? And again, I want to more make it into the insurance, because some insurance that provide this already include in it. So I will work on that way to bring it into reality. So they will have it. Plus, it's not just having at the place where really people could see it. If people use SNAP because they know SNAP is there. Do people use legal services that much? Even though they both are SAGBC services programs.
Sorry, the question was about SNAP and about how to go about basically making it more equitable. Was that if I understand correctly?
No. The answer of the Osman about the legal services. He mentioned that the legal services still exist, but just a few students know about it, should work on awareness and something like that.
Yes.
You want to add this question, or we can continue?
No, I honestly, I think it's very commendable, the legal services or increasing awareness of legal services, because like I said before, we do have a lot of good services available to GBC students. However, as was the case with my friend the other day, a lot of people do not know that this is available to them. They don't know that legal services is available to them. So I think awareness is key for a lot of issues. And yeah, how we go about increasing awareness is through the channels that we already have.
So I have a question here. Since the legal services already exist and some of the students might have been using it already and some of the students might not be aware of it. And like you mentioned, you would want to make it aware using the existing services, right? But if most of the students, majority of the students, as per what you say, they are not aware that the legal service even exists, how would you try to make it different in this case? Because if the students are not aware, if the majority of them are not aware, that is a rising concern, right? So how would you guys specifically try to overcome that?
Specifically, what I would try to do is, again, like I mentioned, through peers, because people they listen to leaders, but they mostly listen to their peers, right? So I would say through peer leaders, through basically word of mouth, like increasing notice on Instagram, for example, Instagram stories, Brightspace, not just emails, not just on screens, but people have to be talking about it actively in order for people to be aware, right? Like my friend found out about ALS the other day through me. People have to be able to talk about that with people, right? That it's not enough to have the service. People have to be able to access it.
Okay, thank you. But this working on your last promises, how do you intend to implement a free mail program for students? What does this look like, and how do you plan on paying?
Okay, so you're talking about the lunch and breakfast type thing. Okay, so for that thing is usually when you buy things at bulk, you get it for cheaper. So buying in a bulk would make the cost even lower. Buying it from the warehouse directly from the sellers would make it even way more cheaper for them. Usually it is the place cost where you get the grocery, things like that. So after getting the ingredients, we want to make it cooked there. So it's like making it to bulk, getting in a bulk and then making it all for all of them at the same time, so we'll decrease the cost, making it more affordable, even less than that. Even remember when I was in high school or in the public school, my younger brother goes there, so they get 99, they were like some 15, they were $1. You take $1, go there, and they give you a good breakfast. The breakfast usually costs way more than that, but now they are like all together, resources together, so the amount of the food is now cheaper. Plus they will subsidizing some of it, making it even very cheaper to affordable, and sometimes even if you don't take that $1, it's still affordable for you.
Thank you. Do you have any question? Otherwise we can continue. Let's back to the question. I have a question about the equity. What does equity mean to you? What are your main goals for your term if elected for the position?
So, I thought about this question a lot recently, even before I started running for Director of Education Equity. I think, to me, what equity means to me, and that's actually one of the questions on my questionnaire, what equity means to me is making sure that despite everyone's lack of, let's say, if people have lack of funds or if people are having issues understanding things. I have a friend who it's hard for him to understand the classes, the course material, because he can't really speak English that well, unfortunately. And so my version of equity is to make sure that everyone is welcome to GVC, everyone is able to learn and to become a better person at GVC, to remove the barriers that exist in achieving proper education. That would be my version of equity. So whether that means, for example, more, I'm just trying to think here off the top of my head, but whether that means increasing bursaries for people who are international students, for example, because they pay way more than a domestic student does. Increasing the community and equity fund, whether that means, basically just whatever we can to improve, listening to the will and the voice of the students. That is the main key thing, and that is what I can offer as Director of Education Equity. I will always listen to the students. I always listen to you.
With your respect, just a small question, because there was a long, so I think I was lost in the middle. So, how is it connected with the equity fund program? Sorry, and how is it connected with increasing the cost, making more people get this fund? So just want some clarity over there.
Well, I mean, from my understanding anyway, the Community and Equity Fund exists to basically benefit people who are marginalized, international students, people who are racialized, people who are who are women, and racialized women unfortunately are affected a lot by tuition raises, by education, because by and large they're the ones who provide childcare, right? So I think what I would mean is I would look into the budget, into increasing the community equity fund, and either increasing more spots or increasing the amount that is offered. And yes, sir, that is what I would look into. Of course, I would never make any promises I can't keep. So that is something that I would have to look into. But that is one of my promises to the student body. I will look into increasing funding or into increasing spots in the Student Equity Fund.
You mentioned something about increasing either the spots for the equity or increasing the amount, right? If you can highlight a bit more on that and be specific on how you would ensure that you would increase the amount, because I believe it will take a lot of money, right? So how would you try to do all of that stuff?
So to my end, that is why I said I have to look into the budget. And again, my word is my bond. So how I would increase the spots is I would basically look into if there's any programs that maybe aren't as, unfortunately, we all have to make budget, we all have to have a budget, we all have to make cuts. So I will look into if there's anything that we can take, that we can somehow, if we can do fundraisers or if we can increase funding somehow that way. There's so many ways to go about increasing either the funds or the spots within the Community Equity Fund. I believe there's more that we can do as a college, as a community, to address inequity. That's what I would do. And yeah, basically, if we can have maybe something if we can reach out to our partners, if we can reach out to the community. There's so much. There's so many opportunities that we can take hold of, and and also that I would also listen to the voices of students for that as well.
All right, thank you for that. We'll now have last question for both of you, and then we'll move to the next round. So, Mohammed, can you provide specific examples of how you have addressed students' concerns, and how do you plan to build upon these experiences to effectively serve students if you are re-elected?
So you're asking for the past and the future. So basically, how I did is basically I was with them even in the middle of this thing. Most of the time, if any director is in there and they're free, they're more like comfortable with them, they will reach out to them directly and say this is the problem. A lot of people who came to me as well. Some came and said that we need help with the SNAP registration. A lot of things they came up with, academic help, a lot of things they came up with me. So I would say that I will be with them, even then. So whenever they need it, they can ask me directly. Simple as that.
Yeah, so I mean, like, basically you would do it, I guess my question to you would be like, would that mean more hours available in office or going out to the student body to talk to them?
So I would say that I'm not here for the job thing or anything. I'm here because my passion is about it. Leadership is my passion. And I have done volunteers with several. So I have done a lot of volunteers with different leadership organizations, and me putting extra hours from my personal self is a joy to me, not a hard work to me. It's like I would spend more time here helping in elite learning and more growing my leadership than wasting my time on a couch or anything better. That's more like the place where I want to spend my time. It's more my type of thing.
And for your last question for this round, because we will continue, how will you work with the rest of the board to ensure that the education and equity needs and issues of the students are being addressed?
Good question. Actually, I already know a lot of the board, to be honest. So I think how I would go about that is what I've already been doing, since day one of being a George Brown College student, is just go out there and speak to people. I think, I can talk until I'm blue in the face, but the most important part of being able to deal with people is being able to go out there and network and talk to people and get people's opinions and voice. That's what this whole campaign is about. It's about your voice. It's about everyone having a place at the table. And that's the key thing that I can just talk.
Do you have any question from the students? Because next round is the student question. And so, in this round, if the students want to ask a question here, they can come here and ask their question. And if the students in the St. James have question, send an email to our email address, communications@sagbc.ca. Do you want to ask a question? Sophia, could you please, there's a student over there who wants to ask a question.
Hi, I'm an international student. It's my first year at Computer Systems Technology. I have sensory issues, and I tried to reach out to the Technology Center a bunch of times, and I was ignored. How do you ensure that all members of the board work towards fulfilling their duties and respond to the students who reach out to them?
For that, I would say is that when you're voting, look for the best candidate for the position that can be there. And for our perspective, is that they usually have meetings to bring this issue toward that thing. If the representative is not looking, you could email to directors too. It's like you are emailing one person and leaving it. It's better to email other person, that if one person might miss it or he hasn't seen this thing, it would be in the eye of other person, so it would be a reminder that, oh, this person said something. Oh, have you just checked the email? There is something like that.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mohammed. It goes to the basis of human communication is that basically just going out there and talking to people. If I can't go out there, then basically email them and be like, hey, sorry, this student has an issue. Myself, when I worked I've worked with people before, that's what I've done. I've emailed, I've spoken for the students, I've spoken for the customer. For students, it's no different, right? Just making sure that people's voices are heard. And if I can't do it, then finding ways to make maybe like a committee or something which would create more jobs to do that.
Do we have any another question from students? Otherwise, we can. Okay, Sophia.
Hi, I'm an international student as well. My question is, how can an equity director ensure there is equality for everyone when some of the students still face racism in college?
Thank you very much. Sorry, what was your name again? Angelica. Thank you very much, Angelica. So, I mean, it is a tough issue but one that we have to talk about nonetheless. How I would go about that is basically probably increasing awareness of the community care center. I would basically increase awareness that racism of the non-academic student code of conduct. I would make sure that people are aware from before they even set foot into GBC that racism is not tolerated and that any instance of racism will be reported, can be reported and will be addressed, will be taken care of. Because it is when we come into a place of learning to be a better person, it's unfair. We all are human at the end of the day. We should all be treated as such.
So I still remember that last year somewhere a person ended up saying a word which he shouldn't be saying it, and GBC made a big thing out of it, like emailing all of it, apologizing all of the thing, and it was more like an apology and as well as a awareness at the same time that this is not good, we are not tolerating this as well. So if something happened and it's become like so big that the other people see it, they will know that this is not good, we should be avoiding doing it. And in my country there is saying, a melon get a color from another melon. So which means that if environment is changing, the people's perspective is also will change with over time.
Thank you both. Is there any other question? Okay, if there is no question, we can go to the next round. It's a common question. In this round, there's a common question. You will answer the question. You have the 90 seconds, and there is no rebuttal chance. There is no time for challenging each other.
So the first question is, how would you ensure that the board carries on with a diverse and inclusive representation of the student body?
Well, how I would ensure that the board carries on with what is already happening is I would make sure that first of all, when hiring for SA positions, I would make sure that people who were from different backgrounds, that we were representing everyone, right? That everybody, that it's all equal, but we're also taking into account everybody's, how should I put it? Everybody's journey, right? So that's one thing that I could do if I was elected as Director of Education and Equity. And yeah, just keep on living the GBC mission, just keep on, which is, the inclusivity inclusivity and making sure that everyone is welcome, making sure that we address racism, we address the homophobia, sexism, wherever that happens, whatever hate that happens on campus, we need to make sure that hate speech is not tolerated on for SA, GBC, or GBC, anywhere on campuses.
Same question? So your question was that diversity on the board. Yes, could you?
How would you ensure? Okay. How would you ensure that the board carries on with a diverse and inclusive representation of the student body?
So basically, the board is not one person, it's 11 people, and one person cannot claim that this will be happening there, and I'm not claiming on someone's behalf as well. These 11 people are being elected by students. They are choosing the diversity, not me. So if they are choosing the diversity based on themselves, what have they seen it, what they think is fit for the time, I think that's how the student already chose it after the election. This is the diversity. The diversity will go after that. So it's like we in the board, we don't have the authority to do that much in diversity. After that, it is not one person, it's 11 people decision together, which 11 people are chosen by students to ultimately decide.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next question. You should both answer this question. Why are you a strong candidate? Why students should vote for you?
I think that before coming to SAGBC, I have worked with different political parties and I have worked with YMCA leadership programs. I had a lot of experience in terms of, did a dual credit as well, different colleges, criminal justice, health and safety, forensic science from different colleges. Dual credits are basically the overview of the courses. I did it. And other than that, I am more dedicated, not in terms of dedicated, it's more like passionate for this one. So leadership is more like my dream. Ultimately, the dream is to be into politics. Everything else I'm doing is to hope that this will take me one step close to it. So for me, it's not just a work, it's more like a worship. Everything will be there for me. It's like I spend most of, I have 24 hours, I might be spending 50 hours a week for that thing. From my own time, I don't care about that thing.
So the question was, what are my strengths and why did I want to be director? Why do I want to be director of education and equity? If I'm summing up correctly.
Yeah. Why are you a strong candidate? Why students should vote for you?
I think I'm a strong candidate because I live the position already. I basically am an advocate for the students. I have helped a lot of my friends, the student body in general, with accessing the services that are available. I volunteer in the volunteer squad. I've been into the leadership conference. I do stuff outside as well. I volunteer for food banks. I dedicate a lot of my time and energy into making sure that George Brown College is a better place, because I believe at the end of the day that in the campground course, try to leave a place that you're in a better position than it was before, because it's not just about the students now, it's about the students of the future. It's about building a better SA, a better George Brown College. And that, for me, my strengths are listening to people, just making sure that people are heard, and being a leader as well, and making sure that inequity is not tolerated, or that doing whatever I can that is within my power to address inequity.
So the last question would be, just a minute. How will you communicate with and collaborate with the rest of the board to carry out your responsibilities effectively? Please, both of you answer.
So, again, I know a lot of the board already. I already am friends with a lot of people. I can I have a saying. I find it hard to not make friends with people. So for me, I think it's all about making friends, or listening to people, and just making sure that we're all collaborating together, and we're all working towards a better GVC for today and tomorrow. Of course, being with let's say looking into more positions on campus, looking into increasing funding for community and equity fund, for the various initiatives that we would want. That is how I would go about enacting change. Keep on building relationships and listening to students, listening to my colleagues, and listening to the students. Again, because it's not about me, it's not about the board, it's not about Muhammad. It's about you. It's about your voice. It's about the students of today and the students of tomorrow.
What was the question again?
So your question was, how will you communicate with and collaborate with the rest of the board to carry out your responsibilities effectively?
I think if you see professionally, you don't need to be a friend with the boards, you just need to bring a good idea with a good plan, which if they see a potential in it, everyone, they will invest for the student benefit. Simple as that.
Okay, so we will end this round and move forward with our next round, which is the closing statement. Each candidate will get 2 minutes to present their closing statement. We'll start with Usman.
So 1 minute for group closing. 2 minutes. Okay. So basically, I promise a lot of things honestly, and in my brain, what I see or how I see from my eyes, I have planned for each of the things to be bringing them to reality. Trust passes, more jobs opportunities, on-campus jobs, free breakfast place for students, legal services at expectation, and also the parking. I will work on these things. These things are not just words, they're more like my dignity and my words are there. Because my accountability is the best word I would say, is there. And what I'm saying is that if I see something and I'll just not just give 100, I will give from a personal time to make it a reality. Secondly, I don't think that I'm in the position right now because I'm fasting in the place where I would lie to for that thing. So my thing is more like my dignity and my honor is connected, my words are connected. It's not I want the people to come up and say that you said something and you didn't do it. To me that hurts a lot. It's my respect, my honor is there connected with that thing. So what I say, I will be responsible for that and I will make them into reality. If not, you can guys come to me, reach out to me. I will be 100% open for doing if I get elected for this term.
So, yeah, my closing statement would be more or less along the same line. Like, whatever I say, I have actually put real thought and effort into thinking about how to make this happen, right? I've actually thought about the partnerships that we can go into and into being able to provide for things such as, increased funding for press, increased funding for community and equity fund. And for me, yeah, it's about listening to the students. It's about making sure that people's voices are heard. It's about making sure that GVC is the best that it can be and the best that it will be for the future, leaving a better tomorrow. And just again, I would have to look into the funding. My word is my bond. I put a lot of time and effort into just this debate, into my platform, into printing and everything. I'm giving everything that I have, and I promise that I will continue to give everything that I have if I was elected for Director of Education and Equity.
Thank you so much, Heather John and Muhammad Usman, to participate in this debate, and thank you all the students participate and listen to us. We have another round of debate for the other position in the board. It's over there, and one of the candidates is over there. So it's the director of the student experience. It starts at 2 p.m. Please stay with us.
I was going to say. guys.